A bureaucrat is a member of a bureaucracy and can compose the administration of any organization of any size, although the term usually connotes someone within an institution of government. Some usages restrict the term so that it only embraces lower-ranked staff members in an agency, excluding higher-ranked managers, or so that it only signifies officials who perform certain functions, such as those who work desk jobs. History. The term bureaucrat was first used in print during the French Revolution, by the journalist Fourier in the Père Duchesne in 1791, writing that the object most deserving of his disgust was the bureaucrat, harbinger of a new mode of servitude. The job of a bureaucrat has been around for many generations, from ancient China, the Roman Empire, the Church, the Ottoman Empire to the nations of Europe. Importance in society. Bureaucrats play a vital role in modern society, holding administrative and managerial positions throughout governments worldwide. Bureaucrats today hold a variety of administrative and functional positions in government, and are largely tasked with the day-to-day implementation of enacted policies. They form the core of most central government agencies, as well as postal services, education and healthcare administration, and various regulatory bodies. Different types of bureaucrat. Bureaucrats can be split into different categories based on the system, nationality, and time they come from. 1. Classical bureaucrat, someone who starts at a low level of some kind of public work for the government, and has no opinion of their own, purely following guidelines and very slowly gaining increasing ranks within the system. This person is not interested in anything other than getting along his or her life. There is no party affiliation or personal opinion about the work that is done. Tax collectors, government accountants, police officers, firefighters, and military personnel are all considered bureaucrats. This type of civil or business servant is very important when it first becomes necessary. 2. Chinese bureaucrat, also called Mandarin, which was given to them by the Portuguese in a letter written from a Portuguese prisoner in China in 1525. Mandarins were used for about 1,300 years from 605 to 1905. Most high-ranking officials were given to nobility and family members. The Zhou dynasty is the earliest recording of Chinese bureaucrats. There was a 9-rank system, each rank having more power than the lower rank. This type of bureaucrat went on until the Qing dynasty. These mandarins worked for the various emperors' government. After 1905, the mandarins were replaced by modern civil servants. In 1921, the Communist Party took over China, and in theory all people are bureaucrats and work for the government. But Mao Zedong ruled with unofficial of a standing army. 3. American bureaucrats are different from other types of bureaucrats because they operate within a republican form of government, and the political culture traditionally seeks to limit the power of government functionaries. On the one hand, that means agencies must work within the red tape imposed by elected officials to restrict the power and discretion. On the other hand, one of the major political parties may view an agency mission as central to the political image, in which case their elected leaders may fight to defend the agency budget and the prerogatives of the bureaucrats who staff it. Due to the USA's enormous impact on the global economy after the Industrial Revolution, decisions made by American bureaucrats sometimes have important ramifications all over the world. Traditionally, the Democratic Party in the United States supports maintaining a large federal bureaucracy, and the most aggressive expansions and reorganizations of the U. bureaucracy have occurred during democratic presidencies. Notable presidents who made vast advancements in bureaucracy, and therefore created a higher demand for bureaucrats, are Woodrow Wilson, an expert in public administration before his rise to power, and Franklin Roosevelt, who raised the regulation of business to unprecedented levels. After the Great Depression, other significant expansions in the size of government took place under Democrats Lyndon B. Johnson, who undertook a war on poverty in his effort to bring about the Great Society, and Barack Obama, whose Affordable Health Care for America Act vastly expanded government regulation of health care and health insurance. A major opponent of this style of government was President Ronald Reagan. Elected from the Republican Party, he believed in government deregulation and shrinking the federal bureaucracy. 4. European bureaucrat, originally referred to as mandarins, stemming from the Chinese word for government employee. Bureaucracy didn't catch on in Europe very much due to the many different governments in the region, and constant change and advancement, and relative freedom of the upper class. With the translation of Confucian texts during the Enlightenment, the concept of a meritocracy reached intellectuals in the West, who saw it as an alternative to the traditional ancient regime of Europe. Voltaire and François Quesnay wrote favorably of the idea, with Voltaire claiming that the Chinese had perfected moral science, and Quesnay advocating an economic and political system modeled after that of the Chinese. The implementation of Her Majesty's civil service as a systematic, meritocratic civil service bureaucracy followed the Northcote Trevelyan Report of 1854, which was influenced by the ancient Chinese imperial examination. This system was modeled on the imperial examinations system and bureaucracy of China based on the suggestion of Northcote Trevelyan Report. Thomas Taylor Meadows, Britain's consul in Guangzhou, China, argued in his desultory notes on the government and people of China, published in 1847, that the long duration of the Chinese Empire is solely and altogether owing to the good government which consists in the advancement of men of talent and merit only, and that the British must reform the civil service by making the institution meritocratic. In 1958, though, after the formation of the European Union, the job of the bureaucrat became extremely important to help organize and govern such a large and diverse community. In 1961, the term Eurocrat was coined by Richard Mayne, a journalist at the time. A Eurocrat is a bureaucrat of the European Union. 5. Modern bureaucrats gained increasingly negative reputations throughout the second half of the 20th century. As populations grow, it becomes harder for bureaucratic systems to work because it often involves a lot of paperwork, which increases processing times, which eventually will be nearly impossible to manage. The digital age and the internet has revolutionized bureaucrats, and the modern bureaucrat has a different skill set than before. Also, the internet lowers the corruption levels of some bureaucratic entities such as the police force due to social media and pro-im journalism. Notable bureaucrats and bureaucratic philosophers. German sociologist Max Weber defined a bureaucratic official as the following: he is personally free and appointed to his position on the basis of conduct. He exercises the authority delegated to him in accordance with impersonal rules, and his loyalty is enlisted on behalf of the faithful execution of his official duties. His appointment and job placement are dependent upon his technical qualifications. His administrative work is a full-time occupation. His work is rewarded by a regular salary and prospects of advancement in a lifetime career. He must exercise his judgment and his skills, but his duty is to place these at the service of a higher authority. Ultimately, he is responsible only for the impartial execution of assigned tasks and must sacrifice his personal judgment if it runs counter to his official duties. Bureaucratic control is the use of rules, regulations, and formal authority to guide performance. It includes such things as budgets, statistical reports, and performance appraisals to regulate behavior and results. As an academic, Woodrow Wilson professed, Franz Kafka, Franklin D. Roosevelt, U.S. Johnson, Harry Hopkins, Lloyd K. Garrison, Thurman Arnold. The arts related to bureaucrat. Bartleby, the scrivener. Bartleby, Brazil. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Hermes Conrad. Icky Ruse, The Trial. The Memorandum.